If you're tired of being stuck in your current place in life and you want more from God, more out of life, more in ministry, you want to go to the next level, then there is a key that will open that door for you. The key is in understanding what it will require of you to actually walk through that door. And to illustrate what I mean, I'd like to share with you the 4 things I dreamed of that I would have as an adult back when I was a child. And if I could get these 4 things, I will have arrived. The first was a wife. I don't know about you, but your boy likes having his lady around. And although singleness is a gift from God, it is a gift from God for other people. The second thing was a house. I mean, you can't put a wifey in a cardboard box. Otherwise, she's going to be somebody else's wife. So along with dreaming of someday having my lady, I also dreamed of having a nice house to put her in, along with the third thing, which was a Rottweiler. Now, even though this dog thinks he can sometimes act like an animal for some reason, he's been a blessing and a wonderful addition to the family. And the fourth final thing that I someday dreamed of having was a punching bag. Now, I am blessed. I currently have all 4 in my life. And the other day, the dog was whining to go outside and I started getting irritated with him. I'm like, bro, chill, I'm coming, I'm busy, like just hold it. And as the frustration started brewing, I started thinking about how frustrated I had been with several things that I had asked for, like the house. We got a beautiful home, started a 3-month renovation project on it that ended up being a 3-year event. The punching bag, oh my goodness, hanging that thing on those rafters and it shakes all the time. Of course it shakes because I punch it so hard, right? And the fact that the rafters barely have any nails holding them up may be another reason, but hanging that thing was no joke. And then the wife, when it comes to frustrations with my wife, who will be watching this video, there are none. But what dawned on me in that moment is, Aaron, you asked for this. Why are you mad at the dog that you dreamed of having? Why are you frustrated with the house that you always wanted? What is the issue with hanging a punching bag that you finally got that you've wanted since you were a little boy? And I realized that God will give us what we're asking for if we can handle the responsibility of it. In fact, Winston Churchill once said, the price of greatness is responsibility. And maybe you are standing at a door asking God to open it for you. You want more, you want something better, and there's nothing wrong with asking for more. But the secret to stepping into more resides in the responsibility you're currently handling with what you have. In fact, Luke chapter 12, verse 48 says, when someone has been given much, much will be required in return. And when someone has been entrusted with much, even more will be required. In other words, when God blesses you with something, He expects that you handle it properly. And when you take up the next new shiny thing, the next new project, the next new ministry, it comes with a level of responsibility that God is going to require of you in it. Peter Drucker was a management consultant who once said, rank does not confer power nor privilege, it imposes responsibility. So asking God for more in any area of your life, your family, your finances, your ministry, your health, anything you want, it's fine, it's wonderful, it's good to ask. But we often don't realize what we're asking for because behind every request is a new level of responsibility. And so with that framework established, I want to share with you the 5 spiritual principles involved in stepping into your next level. The first is that what you have now is a test for what you want later. Luke 16:10 says, if you are faithful in little things, you will be faithful in large things. But if you are dishonest in little things, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. In other words, assume you use text messaging on your phone for the purposes which it was intended to be used. Like something very simple, something straightforward. On my way, pick up the milk. Hey girl, it's over. Which is the kindest way I can think of telling you, bro, if you broke up with your girl via text, you need Jesus. But watch what this same cat will do. After putting your girl on red, changing his profile pic to him with some other chick, her sister maybe, will then go to God and say, God, bless your boy with a wifey. I'm just waiting on your will. I know you got the one for me. Just send her to me. And God's like, ain't you the one just broke up with your girl via text? Dog, how you gonna come up in my church asking for a wife? I mean, if you can't handle your emotions and properly treat a girl when you dating her, how are you gonna handle your emotions whenever you married to one of my daughters? In other words, what you have now is a test for what you want later. Show God your current position is too small by revealing to Him through your actions that you've outgrown your current level of responsibility there. Show God that it would be a misuse of his kingdom resources to stop you from moving forward because you are handling so well what he's already given you. The second principle is that God doesn't give you what you ask for. He gives you what you show him you can handle. This comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. It tells us God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. So you want to start your own business, for example. You hear all the YouTubers, ditch the 9-to-5, do you, live your own life, start your own business, right? But you can't handle your finances when you know exactly when you're going to get paid and how much you're going to get paid. But somehow you think that not knowing when the money's coming in, where it's coming in from, how much is going to come in will somehow make budgeting easier for you. So if you can't handle your money on a consistent income, why would God give you money through an inconsistent income? And furthermore, starting your own business implies most likely that you'll be hiring other people whose income will then rely on you. So if you can't rely on you for what you're currently getting, how are other people going to rely on you for what they would be getting working with you? You have to handle what you have to get what you want. This also applies to the marriage. No kids, right? Fighting all the time. So what you decide to do, let's throw some cheering in the mix, right? And we have one kid, guess what we're gonna do now that we're fighting and not sleeping and we got a little baby crying and we're still arguing all the time? What we're gonna do, we're gonna have another kid. If you can't run your marriage by yourselves, putting children in the mix ain't gonna fix it. But if you want to show God you're capable of parenting, let him see that you're capable of marriage. Because the key to stepping into what's next is to show God you can handle what's now. The third principle is that asking how much anointing can I get, or influence, or ministry, or opportunity, is to ask how much pain can I take? So for example, you got 100 subscribers and you get a bad comment on YouTube and you've been out of shape, but you want 1,000 subscribers. Yet statistically speaking, if you get a bad comment for 100 subs, then you're gonna get 10 bad comments for 1,000 subs. So you're gonna be 10 times more bent out of shape, 10 times more frequently, unless you can handle the negative comment. So there's nothing wrong with wanting bigger. There's nothing wrong with wanting more, but can you handle the pressure from what you currently have? Because the greater the influence, the greater the pain. We've been so blessed to travel speaking in churches of all sizes, preach to 1,000 people, preach to 3 people. And a big struggle for pastors is always wanting to see their church grow. They want more people saved. They want to be blessing and helping more people. There's nothing wrong with that. That is awesome. But I see pastors who have 20 people in their church and they want to pastor 100 people. Yet they currently are frustrated and maxed out with 20. 20 to 100 is a multiplier of 5. So if you're pastoring 20 people and you got 5 frustrations, then pastoring 100 people makes you end up with 25 frustration. And I know the sentiment is, well, if I have more people, I would have more help. It would be easier. All pastors believe that. In my experience, I have never seen a pastor grow the church end up with more people and fewer headaches. The math ain't mathin'. The bigger it gets, the harder it gets. The more people, the more questions. The more ministries, the more challenges. And so there's nothing wrong with wanting more anointing, bigger influence, greater impact. But make sure you're asking the right question. Not can I have more anointing, but rather can I handle more pain? Now the fourth principle is the price you pay for what you want is the shedding of who you already are. You see, nothing changes if nothing changes. The who got you to today is not the same who can get you to tomorrow. Otherwise, your next would be now. So the you who steps into what's next has to be a different you than the you right now. And when we hear this, oftentimes we think, well, what do I need to do in addition to what I'm doing? What do I need to add? What should I insert into my already hectic morning routine? What should I include in my already busy night routine? But the path to wisdom is an addition. It is elimination. Think, for example, what you need to take with you to climb all the way to the summit of Mount Everest. Practically nothing. So what baggage from your past is keeping you from your future? What attitudes are currently affecting your thinking that is preventing you from stepping into something better? What resentments from past hurts are preventing you from loving and being loved in your next relationships? What goals did you used to have that are stopping you from having what you want to have? What titles and positions are you holding on to that's keeping you stuck in an identity that God is trying to break you out of? Because if you want to go higher, my friend, then you've got to travel lighter. And the fifth final principle is that if you can't handle what you have, you'd collapse under what you want. In Jeremiah 12:5, it says, if you have raced with men on foot and they have worn you out, how can you compete with horses? If you stumble in safe country, how will you manage in the thickets by the Jordan? So if what you have is too heavy, don't ask God for more weight, because just like a good dad who would love to give his son a nice car, ain't gonna give it to him when he's 12. The 12-year-old boy is getting in trouble on his bicycle. He doesn't have the maturity to handle a device with, 1/17 horsepower. Why would his dad then give him something with 500 horsepower behind it? It would absolutely destroy him. So if you want more, you have to bear up under the pressure of what you currently have. Instead of telling God, give me this, do this, change this, say, God, increase the quality of my problems. Give me bigger issues than the ones I currently have. Why? Because when I'm faithful with a little more, God will give me even more than that. And although responsibility is the main thing God is looking for when deciding whether to give you what you've been asking for, there are other reasons beyond responsibility that could delay your promise. That's why I've linked this video for you right here on why God won't open that door yet, so we can jump into it together and find out what needs to happen for you to step into what God has for you next.